Hello, everyone. My name is Harshini. I am the advocacy program manager, and I am also one of the co-leads for our youth advocacy cohort, that is funded through the Legacy Foundation. So, shout out to them. Thank you so much for funding this. This is a recording of our first youth advocacy cohort session one, where we did a very brief overview of Save the Dunes and what we do advocacy wise, and also just an overview of what you, as a student of the youth advocacy cohort, can expect over the next couple of weeks or months, depending on when you watch this. Um, Obviously, because it is a recording, there will not be any opportunity for me to answer any questions. But if you do have any questions, please let me know. You probably will have my email by now, but just in case you don't, my email is harshini@savedunes.org. So if there are any questions that you have about anything that you're going to listen to over the next couple of minutes, please let me know. Don't hesitate to reach out. Without further ado, I just want to say thank you so much for joining our youth advocacy cohort session. We're very excited to have you, and I will get started with our presentation. Give me one moment to share my screen. Okay, and as I said, this is our kickoff presentation to our youth advocacy cohort session. Very excited to have you guys here, and we always love to start off showing this amazing picture of the Indiana Dunes National Park that you can see to your right. This is taken by one of our friends, Rafi Wilkinson. He's one of the rangers at the Indiana Dunes National Park, and this is always just a really great photo to show the amazing biodiversity that we have in Northwest Indiana. And this place in particular, Mount Baldy, is in Michigan City, so quite close to where our offices are. But it really is just kind of a great place to start to kind of show how amazing it is to do what we do, and also kind of highlight the amazing beauty and landscape that we have in Northwest Indiana. So without further ado, we will get started. So obviously, because this is a recording, we can't do any introductions for the students, but I wanted to quickly go over my introduction. As I mentioned, my name is Harshini. I am the advocacy program manager here at Save the Dunes. I am very excited to have everyone join us for our advocacy cohort. My interest is in environmental law and policy, and this is something that I am very passionate about and would love you as a student to, if you are interested, also, maybe pursue in a career later. So, very excited to have you kind of learn what we do and also maybe take it one step further once you hear from a lot of our partners, including our organization. Like I mentioned, if you have any questions, please let me know. And fun fact about me, um, I actually a transplant to Northwest Indiana. I've only been here for as this recording, now 3 years and a couple of days. So I am actually originally from New Orleans. So very excited to be in Northwest Indiana. I moved up here for the job. It's been just a pleasure. As you could tell from the picture on the right, you can't really complain when you get to work in a place like this. Very excited to be here. Okay, I think it's a great place to kind of stop and do a quick video overview of what our organization is all about. This is a video that we got done was done last year. This is a really good brief overview of what our organization is all about, how we got started, and what we work on today. As you can see from the thumbnail, we were established in 1952. So we have been doing environmental advocacy for more than 70 years in Northwest Indiana. So there's a lot of history connected to this. So this is always like a good place to start to explain kind of what our organization is all about. So without further ado, let's get started.
Located along the southern shore of Lake Michigan lies the breathtaking Indiana Dunes. With 15 miles of naturally occurring sandhills, these dunes are home to the fourth most biologically diverse national park in America. Indiana Dunes National Park is a treasure of diverse natural resources located within an urban setting less than an hour from Chicago. The park is comprised of over 15,000 acres of dunes, oak savannas, swamps, bogs, marshes, prairies, rivers, and forests. Immediately inland from the beaches, sand dunes rise almost 200 feet in a series of ridges, blowouts, and valleys. The dunes are known for their beaches and as a popular summer destination, but in the scientific community, they're known for their abundance in biodiversity and for rare plant species.
One of the things that we're really known for is our outstanding ecosystems in terms of the botany. We have black oak savanna, we have globally rare pans, we have what's called dune and swell. Some of these places, there's less than 1% of it left on the planet, and most of it is here in Indiana Dunes National Park.
Even before the Indiana Dunes became known within the scientific community, people have been enjoying the beauty and splendor of being in the dunes and the southern shore of Lake Michigan for centuries. The sanctity of this treasured coastline has been no easy feat to maintain.
We are protecting this absolute gem that we are fortunate to live in here in Northwest Indiana, and that really goes back to the core founding mission of the organization when there was strife with industry that wanted to kind of sell away some of these assets that we have. And over the 70 plus years of Save the Dunes, it has been all about reclaiming and making sure that all of these places and spots are available for everybody's benefit.
Were it not for a small but determined group of women, this precious place would have disappeared beneath the pressures of residential, industrial, and harbor development. In June of 1952, Dorothy Buell and a group of local women came together at Dorothy's home to form the Save the Dunes Council. Largely credited for establishing the Indiana National Park, Save the Dunes is one of Indiana's oldest environmental groups.
Dorothy Buell was the right person at the right place at the right time. She had the right temperament and she stuck with it. That's the biggest thing, really the biggest takeaway, is that Saving the Dunes wasn't an overnight thing. She took up that cause again in 1952, and we didn't have the realization of the Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore then until 1966. So it wasn't something that you just started and stopped. It was part of the fabric of her everyday life.
The mission of Save the Dunes is to protect and advocate for the Indiana Dunes, Lake Michigan, and surrounding natural areas for the health and vitality of the environment and the people who live, work, and recreate in Northwest Indiana.
So in the early days, industry was the real threat. We could just see the whole dunescape vanishing, being flattened out. It would have been such a loss for our area. And nowadays, our threats are still from industry, but this time it comes in the form of pollution. So we're working to lessen that threat by hopefully engaging industry and voluntarily reducing the amount of chemicals and other things that they're releasing into the lake and into the air.
Today, we work to continue to protect the Indiana Dunes, Lake Michigan, and the surrounding areas from a variety of threats through our work in advocacy, conservation, and community engagement, so that the beaches and dunes will be here for generations to come.
We really try and focus on what the needs of the community are when it comes to advocacy, specifically focusing on water quality issues or water policy issues across all three counties, Lake Porter and LaPorte County.
Now, the Indiana Dunes National Park is the most popular tourist destination in the state of Indiana. While we were successful in establishing the national park, there are still many threats facing the dunes, now and in the future. From development pressures like industrial pollution and habitat destruction, to the threats of climate change, such as shoreline erosion and extreme weather patterns, as well as recreational stressors, such as pathway erosion and litter. These are issues that Save the Dunes works diligently to address and prevent. The best way we can continue to preserve our dunes, Lake Michigan, and the surrounding natural areas is to advocate for their protection and educate the public about what they can do to protect their local environment from its modern-day threats.
Save the Dunes has really taken a lead over the years in making sure that attention is paid to the water pollution permits, things that are going to affect the dunes, but also the people who live in the dunes as well.
There is no place like the Indiana Dunes. Help us keep the dunes, Lake Michigan, and the surrounding natural areas protected so that all can enjoy this place for generations to come. As founder Dorothy Buell said, we will spend the rest of our lives, if necessary, to save the dunes.
Okay, so that was kind of a good overview of what we at Save the Dunes focus on today. So let me just go to the next slide and then press present again. Um, so yeah, so that kind of goes through what we've done historically, but also some of the new programs that we now do currently. So like I mentioned, if you have any questions about any of that that you just saw in the video, please let me know. So yeah, now we're going to go into some more specifics about the youth advocacy cohort itself. So the purpose for this program was to provide participants with the knowledge and tools that they need to be advocates across grassroots movements all the way up to federal advocacy. So um, we are creating some informative presentation style webinars along with several of our policy partners that you'll hear from throughout the cohort. And so we hope that participants will be able to take the knowledge that they hear from not only us, but all of our partner organizations, our municipal government official partners, and policy professionals, and really learn from that, and then take it one step further as well. A couple of in-person field trips that we have planned for this specific youth advocacy cohort is a field trip to Congressman Mervan's office in Maryville. So he is our congressman for District 1. So he represents Lake Porter and LaPorte counties. We have a Indiana State House tour where we're going to take a bus and take our students down to Indianapolis and have our partners from Hoosier Environmental Council show or give a tour of the State House. And we had a meeting with the city of Gary's Mayor Melton's office where we were able to meet not only with the mayor, but also with the Director of Environmental Affairs, Brenda Scott Henry, and hear from her about all the amazing initiatives that the city of Gary is currently working on. Um, the the part at the bottom, of course, does not apply. This is something that we did, but I did want to bring it up here just to show that we did have a in-person session at Coles Bog, which is part of the Indiana Dunes National Park. So we were able to take our students to the national park itself and then talk about Coles Bog in particular, which is a property that Save the Dunes actually bought and then later donated to the national park. And so we were able to talk about our partnership and collaboration that we continue today with the national park. Okay, so I just wanted to go through the timeline just very briefly. This might, of course, be different depending on when you hear this recording. But this is like kind of a brief overview of all the different things that you can expect to do if you join our youth advocacy cohort or have joined. This would fall under the first virtual presentation one. So what you're hearing right now is our introduction to environmental advocacy and an overview about the cohort program. Um, as I mentioned, we did do a in-person hike at Coles Bog, where we talked about our collaboration with the national park and how we were able to donate Coles Bog specifically to the national park for everyone to enjoy. We also were able to have our friends at Highland Neighbor for Sustainability do a presentation, a virtual presentation on municipal advocacy. So, hearing all the amazing ways that the Highland Neighbors for Sustainability are working directly with their city to basically furthers the sustainability efforts that they are currently doing. So that was something that we did. We also met with the City of Gary's Mayor Melton's office. That was in person. So that was amazing. We have, as of this recording, a couple of presentations that we plan to do. So we will talk about regional advocacy that will be virtual as well. We'll talk about some of our regional efforts that we do at Save the Dunes. We also will talk about state advocacy. So we will hear from our friends at Hoosier Environmental Council who focus a lot on the state advocacy efforts, particularly during the state session, of course, which is in the beginning of each year for about 3 months. So usually January through March or January through April, depending. So they're going to talk about all the amazing efforts at the state level. And the following day, we will have them give us a tour at the State House. So we're going to take a bus from Northwest Indiana down to Indianapolis and have them give us a amazing tour of what to expect at the State House and kind of the what they do there. Um, so we're very excited about that. We also will have a focus on federal advocacy, of course. So we partner with National Parks Conservation Association or NPCA. And so our friend Tim from NPCA will talk about the federal advocacy efforts in Northwest Indiana. And then following his presentation, we will meet with Congressman Mervan's office in Maryville to hear from them about some of the amazing federal advocacy that they do to help protect Northwest Indiana, natural resources, and last but not least, of course, we will talk about grassroots advocacy and our friends from Gary Advocates for Responsible Development, or GARD, will have a virtual presentation talking about all of the advocacy efforts that they have directly in Gary, but also any collaboration that they do with the city as well. And then at the very end in October, we will have our students, or you, do a final presentation. And this won't be a huge lift. I just want to kind of leave space for you to do a maybe 10 to 15-minute presentation about what you plan to do now that you've kind of gone through this entire itinerary and learned and listened to all of our partners, including us, what the next step would be. So, I consider all of our presentations and our field trips as like almost a step one. And then I would love to see you as our cohort take all of the knowledge that you've learned and then create your own step two of, okay, now that you learned about all of these advocacy efforts, what are your next steps? Are you planning to maybe dive into a specific type of advocacy? Are there any ideas or projects that you're excited to maybe start yourself? Or things that you're passionate about environmental wise that maybe we don't talk about. We do not cover all environmental topics, so any specific environmental topics that maybe sparked your interest after you learned from all of these sessions, anything like that, I would love to know, and I'm excited to learn from all of you. So not a huge lift, but about a 10 to 15-minute PowerPoint presentation about maybe what you learned and also how you plan to take all of our knowledge and implement it. So really looking forward to that in October. So I wanted to kind of go through how our organization advocates today. So as you saw in the video, we do a lot of advocacy in a lot of different ways. So our organization, Save the Dunes, does advocacy by supporting policies and actions that protect the Indiana Dunes, Lake Michigan, and the surrounding natural areas and the people who live, work, and recreate in Northwest Indiana. That is our mission statement. And so we do advocacy for environmental issues at all the levels, really. And some of those levels include the federal, state, and local level. The picture to the right here is our trip to DC. So every single year, we take a group of community members with us during Great Lakes Days, which is in the beginning of March, with us to the our DC office, our offices in DC for our Indiana representatives. So they are able to basically learn and also express any opinions that they have regarding some bipartisan water policy issues directly to their Indiana representatives. It's always a pleasure to do this. It's great to have the constituents from the district be able to voice their opinion in person in DC. So we continue to do this every single year, and so it's something we're really, really excited and proud of. So I'm going to start with federal advocacy and kind of go top down. As I mentioned, for Great Lakes Days, we go to DC every single year and take community members with us to advocate for bipartisan water policy issues. Some of the water policy bills that we usually talk about or issues that we talk about include the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative, or GLRI. This is maybe something you've heard about. We have had a couple of call to actions about this specific environmental policy, or some of the recent environmental bills that help fund this program. So the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative is a big pot of money that Congress appropriates to help fund a lot of the conservation projects in the Great Lakes region. Of course, that includes Northwest Indiana. So we, along with a lot of our conservation partners, use the GLRI money to help fund our conservation projects. So us in particular, we help get this GLRI money and help fund national park restoration and invasive species management projects. So this is something that we really do need in Northwest Indiana. Helps especially the national park do a lot of their natural resource work. So we're very excited every year to go and advocate for it. A couple of other water policy issues that we talk about every single year are the Clean Water Act. This includes things like wetland permitting, of course, and wetlands, plastic pollution, and PFAS, or more commonly known as the forever chemicals. These are just a couple of the bipartisan water policy issues we talk about. There's some other ones, including, let's say, lead pipe replacement, state water management funds, things like that. So this is not the whole list, but just a couple of ones that we really try and highlight every single year. And the picture to your right is a picture of us actually last year meeting with Senator Young's office. This is one of his staffers where our team met with his office to talk about these specific issues. Still on federal advocacy, so we do not usually go to DC once anymore. We go sometimes 2 to 3 times each year. So this was another opportunity that allowed us to go to DC. So we also partner with the National Park Foundation. So this year, in the end of April, we went to Hill Day, which is one of their events in DC. We were able to join the National Park Foundation staff and board members to highlight the bipartisan bills that specifically help fund projects in the national park. Some of these bills include the Great American Outdoors Act. It is now known as the America the Beautiful Act. Talking about how that helps fund the national park projects. Once again, as I mentioned before, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative as well. Also helps fund a lot of the national park conservation projects. So we talked about that as well. And then the National Park Service Centennial Act allows for the National Park Foundation to provide a lot of nonprofits in Indiana with funding for projects to help support the national park. So a lot of specific bills that help give a lot of money and allocate it specifically to help our Indiana Dunes National Park. So some of the pictures on the right, starting from the top, that's a picture of some of my program team colleagues at the Indiana Dunes National Park with one of the rangers, Ranger Andy, with a a wheelchair that we now have at the national park that was made possible through the National Park Service Centennial Act. So trying to increase the accessibility in our park. We really are excited to kind of use this money to help fund and increase accessibility, particularly in our national park. We want to make sure this park is accessible to all. So really excited about that. The picture in the middle is myself and our executive director, Betsy, talking to Congressman Yackham. He represents District 2 in Indiana, so a little bit of LaPorte County and then also east of LaPorte County. So we were talking about all of these bills. So that's a picture of us during the National Park Foundation Hill Day. The picture on the bottom is a picture of us and also some of the National Park Foundation staff after talking to Congressman Stutzman's office in District 3. So yeah, just a couple of the things that we do in federal advocacy. These particularly, of course, are in DC, but even when we're not in DC, we are constantly, emailing those offices and doing direct asks, making sure that we can efficiently advocate for these particular bills. So on to state advocacy. So as I mentioned, the state legislature session is in the beginning of every single year. I do want to highlight this year's state legislature session was from January to April 2025. It was a little bit of a longer one because it was a budgeting year. So every other year, the state does a budgeting year, so it's a little bit longer. So although the state session this year was from January to April, next year it will be from January to about March. So every single year, we create a bill watch list a couple of weeks into the state session. We try and highlight 10 House bills and 10 Senate bills. There are a lot of environmental bills, and so what we try and do is focus on the ones that will directly affect the Northwest Indiana region, particularly our state park or our natural resources up in our 3 counties of Northwest Indiana, Lake, Porter, and LaPorte County. So the picture to the left is just a snapshot of our bill watch list for this year. But we plan to do this every single year. Some of the things that we focus on during the state session is advocating for wetland protection. So in this particular session in 2025, there weren't too many wetland protection bills or bills that maybe challenge wetland protections, but we do have some, we had some in the past in 2024, and we expect to always continue to have either bills that increase wetland protections or deregulate some of them. So we continue to testify and advocate for them as they come up. Once again, PFAS, or those forever chemicals we talked about, there are a lot of bills that usually pertain to that as well. Unfortunately, usually deregulating them or making them more restrictive. So we do our best to advocate against uh, deregulation of PFAS regulations. So we do that every year. And then I do want to bring up public beach equipment. So this is something that our state senator in our region, Rodney Pohl, has advocated for and successfully made into law. So this is something he's passionate about, and we are as well as increasing the public safety on our beaches, particularly in Northwest Indiana. Unfortunately, there are several people or several deaths that happen via drowning on our Lake Michigan shoreline. So to help stop that and circumvent that, we supported this bill and continue to support any public beach safety bills that would help protect our tourists and our residents of Northwest Indiana. And also just on the left, the picture of that building is a picture of the State House in Indianapolis. So highly recommend going there if you never have. It's a beautiful, beautiful building. And if you are watching this recording and are able to go with us to the State House with our friends from Hoosier Environmental Council, this is the building that you will be able to tour with us. So hope you're able to join us for that. Onto local advocacy. So there's a couple of things that we do on the local side. So here in Indiana, we do have the public trust doctrine. So the public trust doctrine is the law that says that it is the public's right to freely access and use the entire shoreline of Lake Michigan in Indiana. This is a state by state case or basis. So, for instance, it is the law in Indiana, but it might not be in other states, for instance. So, us at Save the Dunes continue to defend the public trust and the public's access to the Lake Michigan shoreline in Indiana. We don't want to have private owners just come in and not allow the public to access the shoreline. We believe that anybody from Indiana or anybody who's visiting should be able to access the shoreline below the ordinary high water mark. So something that we continue to defend today. Water pollution prevention, as the video mentioned, is something that we also focus on. So we do a lot of communications with industries themselves and also the agencies. So in our state, the environmental agency at the state level is called the Indiana Department of Environmental Management. So we work directly with them to help create a culture of pollution prevention. So anytime an industry permit comes up that pertains to water, we do provide public comments on that. We collaborate with our attorneys, our environmental attorney partners, including Conservation Law Center and Environmental Law and Policy Center, on providing some more technical comments. They really have the amazing knowledge to help suggest some of the things that the Indiana Department of Environmental Management should do to help protect the natural resources in Northwest Indiana. Another thing that we focus on is helping protect local natural spaces and sustainability efforts. So we'll often have community groups or towns come to us asking for letters of support or just some educational materials in some cases so we'll provide those. We'll kind of act as the educational angle for any local groups that may need them. And then we do participate in advisory committees across the region as well. So in particular, both myself and my colleague are part of some Michigan City boards. So we do help participate in some sustainability efforts regionally as well. So, as the video mentioned as well, we do advocate for the national park. So, very recently, we have become an official partner of the Indiana Dunes National Park. So, we're very excited about that. I do kind of want to highlight a couple of things with the national park because of some of the changing current events over the last year. As many of you may know, just by watching the news, there were a lot of recent federal changes to the employee numbers that impact the natural resource projects in our Indiana Dunes National Park, but honestly, across all the National Park Service areas or lands. So what we do at Save the Dunes is we advocate directly with our Indiana legislators, and we do several call to actions to help protect our national park staff. So very recently, right now, we are asking people to reach out to their congressmen and their representatives to help keep in the Inflation Reduction Act money that would help with staffing issues at the not only our national park but all national parks across the U.S. So that's just one example of one of the call to actions that we have. This is the most recent one, but we continuously do these to help protect our national park resources. We are also, as I mentioned, grant administrators for several national park projects. We use the specific bills that I mentioned before to help fund conservation projects in the national park. So, the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative project sites, these are just a couple of project sites that we help get money for. So I just want to highlight two of them. So the one on the bottom left is a picture of some black oak savanna in our national park where some invasive plant control treatments have occurred. So this is in Tolston Dunes in Porter County. The place on the bottom right is in Lake County. Actually, this is in Miller Woods, where this is a picture of one of the wetlands in the Indiana Dunes National Park where some invasive plant control treatments have occurred as well. And this is all thanks to the Great Lakes Restoration Initiative bill. So this is something we continue to advocate for. And so you can see these amazing pictures showing off the biodiversity and the amazing work that the natural resources team at the national park does every single day to help protect it. So we really advocate for this bill to keep being funded for, and this work never ends. So we'll continue to advocate for this bill to keep this funding for the next for indefinitely, really. Another local project that I wanted to highlight is our coastal resiliency project. So we do have a Lake Michigan Coastal Program grant project coming up. This is with our friends at the Department of Natural Resources. So through this grant, we will provide in-person educational sessions featuring different environmental projects, including the public trust doctrine, shoreline erosion, etc. So some of the big, I call them hot topics that people usually hear on the news or are really concerned about, particularly in our region of Northwest Indiana. We will plan to do some educational sessions during this project. Through this grant, we created some fact sheets with some information about the different environmental topics. So this is actually done. These fact sheets are on our website. So if you are curious, feel free to go to savedunes.org/resources or savedunes.org, click on the resources page, and there's a digital copy of our fact sheets that you're free to print and to learn from at any time. And please feel free to print some of them out and educate your neighbors, your friends. This is really something that we're excited about, we're passionate about, and so if you could help spread the word, we'd be very, very grateful for that as well. As we mentioned, we do a lot with water pollution prevention. So I just want to highlight one of the grants that we get to do this kind of work through the McDougall Family Foundation. They're based in Chicago. So through this grant, we created a roundtable, water pollution prevention roundtable, with representatives from nonprofit stakeholders across the region to exchange information, identify emerging threats, and comment on industry permit renewals, violations, and any upcoming emergency events. So, as you may know, or you may have heard of, we have had, unfortunately, a couple of emergency environmental events on our shoreline related to industry, some really big ones. Some that come to mind are the 2017 hexavalent chromium spill, the 2019 ammonia cyanide spill that killed 3,000 fish. So we at Save the Dunes saw that there was kind of a lack of communication between the environmental partners, but also um, between environmental partners and industry and agencies as well. Like there was just a really big lack of transparency and communication. So what we did is create this plan to help to help with that. So um, we create public facing fact sheets for the shoreline for each industry facility and focus on the NIPD's permits or those water permits for each shoreline industry and also provide any relevant information. So we're currently still working on that, but we hope to have that to you by the end of the year. And this will kind of act as a way for the public to be educated on these facilities in general, but also help with any upcoming permit public comments where you as the public will be able to comment on any existing permit or upcoming permit renewals. So we hope to have some information that you'll be able to use for those. So another thing, like I mentioned, we do try and create a stronger relationship with ITEM. Those are our state agency environmental. That's our state agency environmental arm. So the Indiana Department of Environmental Management is somebody that we partner with and talk to a lot. So I do want to also mention a couple of the other local efforts that we do. So we are really focused on reducing plastic pollution, particularly in our national park area, especially on our beaches. This has been a huge problem. So some of the efforts include our Next Treks project, where we embarked on an exciting community recycling project in partnership with that company. The goal was to collect 1,000 pounds of plastic bags and films, keeping them out of landfills and green spaces. So the picture on the top is of my colleague M with some of the plastic bags that she weighed to help during this project. And basically, at the end of this project, after you collected the 1,000 pounds of plastic bags, they would give you a recycled plastic bench, which actually sits today in our offices in our pollinator garden actually. So if you happen to come by Barker House, which is where Save the Dunes offices are, you'll be able to see it in our pollinator garden out there. So very excited to do that. If this is something that you're interested in, please let us know. Anybody can do it. They give you all the materials, including the box that you can see on her right, with the place to recycle them. And so yeah, we're really excited about that. Another plastic pollution reduction effort that we have done is the single-use plastic production reduction grant. This is a National Park Foundation grant that we got to help promote Leave No Trace initiative, which means anything that you bring into the national park or really to any recreating area, we ask that you take everything with you. Don't leave any litter behind. Don't leave anything behind that can be harmful to the environment. Um, and also reducing single-use plastic usage in the Indiana Dunes National Park. So that includes anything that basically would not be reused, that any plastic that you would only use once. We're trying to reduce that, particularly with the amount of plastic that we find, unfortunately, in our beaches. Anything that we can do to reduce that is something that we focus on. And so this kind of concludes our presentation. So once again, thank you so much for joining us for it. I do kind of want to mention that we are very active on our socials. My colleague M does an amazing job of posting what's been going on in conservation advocacy and community engagement. Um, at least once a week. So if you haven't already, we ask that if you're interested in this, we've asked that you follow us on Instagram. We have a e-newsletter, so once a month, we do send out a newsletter in the beginning of each month with what's going on in conservation advocacy, community engagement, any upcoming events, any initiatives, any call to actions. That's all in there as well. So if you're interested and you haven't signed up for our e-newsletter, feel free to go to savedunes.org and just click the sign up page. You'll get on our email roster for that. If you haven't already, also follow us on Facebook. We post any upcoming events on there as well. So those are just a couple of different things or initiatives and ways to keep in touch with what's going on with us. And with that, I will stop recording or stop sharing rather. And I will say that is it. So thank you again for watching this. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us. Like I mentioned, my email is harshini@savedunes.org. We're really excited to have you join us for our youth advocacy cohort. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. And thank you. I just want to give a shout out and thank you to you for taking this cohort session and hopefully you learned something new, something you haven't known before, and also are able to use this if advocacy is something that you're interested in, maybe career-wise or just, hobby-wise, what have you. We're really excited to have the younger generation kind of take up the mantle and help further our efforts. We're really excited to see you interested in this kind of stuff. So, with that, I will say thank you so much, and I look forward to seeing you in a next upcoming cohort section. Thank you all.